Yeah, deep down I kinda knew I was gonna end up making another Murder Drones theory video. Well, episode 5 is here now, and it's definitely one of the most lore-intensive episodes we've gotten so far. We finally get to see who Sin and Tessa are, what their relationship was to the murder trio, and what went down at the mansion we kept seeing in N's flashbacks. In other words, we have all the puzzle pieces, we just gotta actually put them together. Fortunately, after the bitch slap that was Internetian Cube, piecing together the clues that Liam Vickers throws at us is kinda my specialty. The only difference is that this time, I'm not alone. I found a certain someone else who's thrown his hat into the Murder Drones theory ring, and he's definitely going to be helpful for figuring things out. But anyways, what's up my guys and gals, it's your boy Tyromaniac, back with another smoking hot video, and today, I'm talking back about the lore of Murder Drones.
You didn't have to see this.
If you clicked on this video, then I'm assuming you already know what Murder Drones is, and that you've watched episode 5 already, so no recap and no spoiler warning. All I need is my special creativity powder, and we should be good to start theorizing. Anyways, there is a metric ass load to unpack here, so why not start with what we already unpacked in the last video. First of all, holy shit, I finally got proven right on something. If you remember my last Murder Drones video, then you'll remember my theory that Sin was the mystery drone from episode 2, the origin of the Absolute Solver, and the one spreading it to the other drones. I also said that she had control over the corrupted drones, for lack of a better word, as shown by her blocking the Absolute Solver from taking over N in the pilot. Well, episode 5 basically proved me right beat for beat, which is the exact opposite of what I expected going into it. But it did also throw a few curveballs at us. After seeing the way that Sin talks, moves, and thinks, I'm starting to wonder if Sin might not have just started the Absolute Solver, but if she might actually be the Absolute Solver. First off, there are a lot of shots that make it look like her worker drone body is actually just a hologram being projected by the Absolute Solver, and every time she moves, she looks more like a puppet than a being with free will. Second off, Sin's voice just so happens to sound exactly like Jay's did when she got taken over by the Absolute Solver in episode 2. Here, listen for yourself.
Jay's not here. We are trying to repair that host as per our directive. You will not have to discard your pets, and I will not discard you.
I mean, I'm pretty sure they have the same listed voice actress if that tells you anything. Third off, and most importantly, she does literally refer to herself as the solver of the absolute fabric, which is peak subtlety, honestly. So yeah, the new theory is that Sin and the Absolute Solver are basically the same thing, with Sin acting as more of a disguise that the Absolute Solver uses to lie low among the worker drones. Of course, if you check that little red line at the bottom of this video, then you'll know I'm about to do way more than just update my old theories. Oh, you knew I was going to dedicate a whole section to it. The zombie drones tape the episode opens on. Believe it or not, I think these 9 or so slides on that old ass TV tell us exactly how the Absolute Solver came into this world. From what I could gather, JC Jensen actually had an official 2-step procedure for disassembling worker drones, or at least they did before they started using the sentient war crimes, which we'll get into later. Long story short, before they could just scrap the damn thing, they had to mark the drone they wanted to send to Robo-Jesus with a yellow armband that says marked for disassembly. The next step is to put down, upload a file called the WDOS_606, Worker Drone Operating System 606 if I had to guess, directly into their skulls. What this does is it humanely, quote-unquote, kills the poor drone by disconnecting its core, making it safe to harvest all of that premium copper wire. I mean, saying it's supposed to be fun for them gives me big Farm Upstate vibes, but whatever. We also learned from the slideshow that the term zombie drone comes from the 0.01% chance that the drone self-reboots, or basically plug walks out of its own grave like nothing happened. For those 0.01% that survive the glorified USB killer, there's also a 0.7% chance of them developing potentially hazardous mutations. So, here's the thing about that. We already know that Tessa was the one who brought Sin into the mansion thanks to N's flashback from episode 2, but we never really learned where she got her from, until now. If you look closely, you'll notice that all 4 of our main drones, N, V, J, and Sin, have the marked for disassembly armbands. We also have the clip of Tessa's mom referring to them as Tessa's dumpster pets. put 2 and 2 together, and I think what happened is that Sin went through the disassembly process with the WDOS_606 and everything, but rather than being properly disassembled afterwards, she was just chucked straight into the trash heap where she proceeded to spite God by not dying. From there, Tessa found her and brought her back to the mansion like she did the others, not realizing that not only had she gone through the disassembly process, but that she was one of the 0.00007%, or 1 in about 1.43 million, who not only survived being killed, but also picked up a dangerous mutation as an added bonus. If I had to guess, I'd say that when the WDOS_606 failed to kill Sin, it sorta self-imploded and assimilated her consciousness into itself, leading to the corruption of both and the creation of a whole new entity. All the while, Tessa had no idea that the drone she just rescued was the Trojan horse for a horror the world was never prepared for, the Absolute Solver. Speaking of which, I said it in my last Murder Drones video, but Sin being the first character to have the yellow UI when we've only ever seen it in the Murder Drones is a huge deal. The fact that she has it before the Murder Trio did, hell, before the idea of the Murder Drones even existed, means to me that it actually represents the Absolute Solver and those under its influence. After all, we see from the Zombie Drones tape that the yellow X we've been using as a Murder Drone gang sign was originally used to represent an error with the WDOS_606 program. Now sure, this serves as more evidence that the Absolute Solver stems from a corrupted WDOS_606 assimilating Sin's consciousness into itself, but it also serves as evidence of something a lot more plot relevant. I'm sure you caught it, but all the frozen worker drones in the mansion's library have the yellow X on their face screens along with the message Error 606, implying that they have the WDOS_606 and that something went horribly wrong with it. If you notice though, only a few of these drones have the marked for disassembly armbands. Even if they were all wearing them, shouldn't they be in a trash heap somewhere instead of being posted up in some random library? They should, if it was the humans that gave them the WDOS_606. As you probably guessed, I think that Sin's been spreading the Absolute Solver to the worker drones throughout the mansion, with their systems interpreting it as a corrupted version of the WDOS_606, because that's exactly what it is, hence the error that pops up. So basically, Sin was spreading the Absolute Solver in secret, corrupting more and more worker drones until one day she finds the perfect opportunity to reveal herself to the world. And what better opportunity could there be than a gala being attended by all the humans that tried to have her disassembled? After all, when Tessa's mom called the drones in the library broken, Sin was pretty eager to point something out to her.
They are not broken. We can no longer be thrown out.
Now with that said, for as bad as creating an army of corrupted worker drones to start a robot uprising is, there's something else that Sin's been doing that's much, much worse. So, this whole time we've been assuming that it was JC Jensen who built the murder drones with the sole purpose of killing worker drones, right? I mean, why wouldn't we? Literally every character has been telling us so. Well, as more time, and episodes, goes by, we've been getting more and more information that kinda throws that into doubt. First of all, like I've been saying, the yellow X that we've taken as the symbol of the murder drones originally represented Sin and the Absolute Solver. Second of all, when Uzi taps into N and V's memories, we see their UIs flash the same Error 606 pop-up that the corrupted worker drones did in N's memories. Third of all, when V was under Sin's control, not only did she turn into the exact same kind of proto-murder drone that Uzi did in episode 4, but that new claw arm she mutated looked like it would fit perfectly inside that cone arm the murder drones have. Of course, that's all just speculation, right? It's not like we see disassembled worker drones surrounded by spare murder drone parts just sitting in Sin's basement hideout, and that's exactly what we see. Remember, this is before the murder drones are even supposed to exist, so it's not like Sin was just copying JC Jensen's homework. This all implies that it was Sin, not JC Jensen, who made the original murder drones. With how similar the Absolute Solver mutations are to the base murder drone design, with the tail, the wings, the claws, I'd imagine Sin just replaced and or covered up most of those mutations with mechanical parts. I think we can also clear JC Jensen of the wiping the murder drone's memories charges, since the evidence points to Sin on that one too. Finding N's decapitated corpse in her basement hideout surrounded by surgical equipment is one thing, but Sin herself talking about resetting N's memories one more time makes it pretty damn obvious. So yeah, Sin was the one who originally created the murder drones and wiped their memories, not JC Jensen. She essentially mechanized the mutations they were already developing with the hopes of weaponizing them against humanity. With all that said though, I still don't think JC Jensen is 100% innocent on this one. Between V's new body, same horrors comment from episode 4, ends flashbacks in the same episode showing Sin alongside a black hole, and the fact that the murder drones are still loyal to the company, or at least they were, and kinda got distracted by his robot goth girlfriend, I've got reason enough to stand by my claim from the last video that Sin did eventually contract a rare case of death after the mansion incident. How? Not sure. JC Jensen making the zombie drones tape means they probably knew this would happen, so I'm sure they had some sort of backup plan. Either way, I'd imagine all these AbsoluteSolver shenanigans with the massacre at the mansion gala would have had them pretty on edge about any suspicious drone activity in the future. Now, imagine how they'd feel after the core of a planet populated by at least thousands of worker drone slaves mysteriously and unexplainably had its core explode, killing all human life in the process. I personally would have given the worker drones a live demonstration of how a hydrogen bomb works, but I guess JC Jensen had other plans. My guess is that they were able to recover the newly created murder drones from the wreckage of the mansion incident, taking advantage of their wiped memories to reinforce their loyalty to the company. After all, the murder drones do have their own specialized yellow armbands that are very similar to the JC Jensen issued marked for disassembly armbands. It wouldn't really make sense for Sin to make her own armbands considering her history with them, so it was probably JC Jensen using them to identify which killer robots were theirs. With the wardrobe taken care of, the all-new disassembly drones, patent pending, were ready to be airdropped into Copper 9 to neutralize as many enemy potential AbsoluteSolver hosts as possible. Uzi said it best herself in the pilot.
Unfortunately, our parent company didn't exactly love the concept of runaway AI.
With the benefit of hindsight, and a lack of medication, I think that line is referring to something we've heard referenced throughout the series but never got a concrete answer on: the singularity. I'm sure you've heard the term thrown around before, and what it usually refers to is a tipping point where an AI becomes too advanced for humanity to control, kinda like Skynet in Terminator or Ultron in the second Avengers movie. Judging by Nori's drawings that depict hordes of murder drones peering out of the darkness, which would make the hardest album cover of all time by the way, my guess is that the singularity in murder drones would occur if the AbsoluteSolver was able to corrupt and or mutate enough drones to easily overrun humanity. If that's true, then letting an entire planet full of worker drones exist with no human intervention would basically be handing the AbsoluteSolver the dub on a silver platter. And that's exactly why I think JC Jensen deployed the murder drones to Copper 9. It's basically a scorched earth policy, killing off as many worker drones as possible to deny the AbsoluteSolver any future hosts. However, just because the murder drones might be working for JC Jensen now, doesn't mean they're safe. Remember earlier when I mentioned that Sin looks and sounds exactly like AbsoluteSolver Jay did in episode 2? Well, that comparison, plus the "Jay's not here" line, makes me think that rather than Jay herself becoming the AbsoluteSolver, it was actually Sin taking control after Jay's botched top surgery. Add that to V's new body same horrors line, and the fact that it was Sin who blocked N from becoming the AbsoluteSolver in the pilot, and I think it's pretty clear that Sin is still an active threat, even if she did theoretically die. So, the streamlined version of all that is that after somehow taking care of the whole Sin issue, temporarily, I think JC Jensen was able to bring the murder drones back over to their side thanks to their reformatted memories. After making sure that they were rocking that JC Jensen drip, they got airdropped onto Copper 9 to help maximize civilian casualties before Sin could get her grubby mitts on any of those grade A premium worker drones. The end goal was to stop the AbsoluteSolver from corrupting enough drones to bring on the singularity, but it might honestly be too late considering the hold she already has over the murder drones. Don't worry though, because even if the murder drones are compromised, there's still one person who's more than willing to stand up to the AbsoluteSolver. It's pretty obvious from the muffled screams we hear through the basement ceiling, and by using the miracle of sight, but I think it's safe to assume that the gala was a complete massacre. I honestly think Tessa might have been the only survivor since A, she's still alive, duh, and B, Sin kinda gave her every chance to not be there when everything went down, and didn't even threaten her when she pulled up to stop her anyways. Of course, just because she's alive doesn't mean she got away scot-free. After watching her parents and at least 50 other people get slaughtered like chickens at KFC, I don't even want to imagine the guilt she'd have to live with for being the one who brought Sin into the mansion in the first place. With something like that weighing on her mind, plus a healthy dose of PTSD and survivor's guilt for good measure, I wouldn't be surprised if Tessa had some pent-up resentment towards the Absolute Solver, to say the least. I think that would explain both why she became a JC Jensen certified technician and why she's been in orbit around Copper 9. For some reason, I doubt that JC Jensen would put a lot of trust into the literal killing machines that were created by the thing they're using them to fight against. I'd imagine they'd probably want someone handy to monitor the situation and make sure that the murder drone stayed loyal to the company, a job that Tessa would have been scrambling for since it would allow her to fight back against the Absolute Solver, even if it is indirectly. If I wanted to really overanalyze things, which I do, then the timing of when Tessa dropped in might also serve as proof. Think about it. Jay, Dahl, and Uzi were all showing signs of Absolute Solver corruption by the time she finally showed up, meaning she might have only come down to intervene once it looked like Sin was starting to become active again. Speaking of Dahl, small tangent, but I think the sort of deal they have going on makes perfect sense. They've both lost family to the Absolute Solver, and now they both want to get rid of it, so think of it as an alliance of convenience. As for how the robot roach fits into it, your guess is as good as mine. Either way, the main idea here is that Tessa is just trying to avenge her parents after losing them to Sin and the Absolute Solver, which she's doing by siding with JC Jensen to help keep the murder drones in line. Wait, hold on. Run that title slide by me again? When the hell did this become a—
Alright, I've had enough of this. These theories have way too much substance. It's time to make some wild claims based on very little evidence and make the comments section mad. Hi, I'm Unhelpful Commentary, a collection of terrible ideas in a badly drawn suit, and I'm about to tell you that the Earth is dead. So in these TV shots Tyro's talked about already, there was actually something he missed. The footage begins with this shot of the JC Jensen logo, as well as their three central products: Windex, Internet, and sentient robots. The interesting part comes in the form of their slogan: rebuild together better. Now, despite the fact that that's an absolutely terrible choice for anything other than the American embassy in Yemen, it does reveal some interesting questions about what's actually happened here. The idea presented by Rebuild is that something got destroyed, something very important to pretty much everyone if it's used in the slogan for an interplanetary company. Given the current state of the political climate, I can't think of anything that falls under that, but the closest thing to it would probably be the Earth itself. This is backed up by the gala scene where Sin ends up, you know. Before the genocide of the top 1%, Mr. Elliot decides to give possibly the most terrible opening to a speech possible.
The Elliots are known for many things: class, tenacity, currently being alive.
Well-timed giggle.
Seriously, this man's head is so big I'm surprised it fit through those double doors. Despite my hatred of this character and his speech, it does reveal something that backs up my point, so we're going to talk about it. Currently being alive seems kind of weird to put in there, doesn't it? Sure, it could be a jab at the fact that that's about to change, but given he doesn't know that yet, it seems that he believes that being alive is an impressive feat. Something that would only be recognised as such in some sort of post-apocalyptic environment, caused by some freak accident that caused the globe to end up looking like that. So there it is, murder drones is officially a warning against climate change and nuclear warfare. I have ruined the accuracy of this video, my job here is done, alright, bye.
Oh yeah, kinda forgot I invited him here. Well, that was Unhelpful Commentary, if you couldn't tell already, and a couple months ago we decided to collaborate on our episode 5 theory videos. The same way he got to share his conspiracies in my video, I get to voice a few sections in his video, so go check that out using the link in the description. Anyways, as long as there aren't any other murder drones YouTubers that want to barge in here, let's get to wrapping this up. Honestly, I'm still shocked that I actually got proven right about something for once. Like, I can't tell if the evidence just made it that obvious, or, God forbid, I actually have a shred of intelligence between my ears. But either way, this is gonna inflate my ego for the next year at least. In all seriousness, I will say I'm a lot more confident in some of the theories in this video than others, so a good rule of thumb is to assume that the earlier in the video I said it, the more I think it holds up. Also, another quick thank you to Unhelpful Commentary for agreeing to be in this video, so remember to go check out his channel if you want to hear more of what he has to say. He's got some bangers over there, so it's worth a shot. But yeah, Murder Drones episode 5 was crazy, and I cannot wait to see where episode 6 goes. So anyways, that's it for this video, so remember to light up that like button, smoke that subscribe button, drop a big old comment, check out some of the videos on the left, and I will see you guys in the next video.
Giggle. I am so naughty. The flesh demands invitation.